This set is going a lot better. Oh, not that much better. 3-2 instead of a 2-3. It felt like I was winning a lot more. Hey everyone, in my last video I talked about how I think Nidoqueen is still very strong, especially after the recent buff. If you haven't checked out that video, I will link it down below. But I did make an adjustment to this team. I swapped out the Cobalion for a Jellicent, and the team actually performed even better. So I actually think this is a much better team than the one I created before, but unfortunately I didn't make this realization until a little bit later. So for those still looking to play around in Ultra League, let's give this new team a try because it's going to be pretty good. Before we get into the battles, a big shout out and thank you to all my patrons who've been supporting my content creation. If you would also like to have early access to my strategies and lineups, or see behind the scenes footage of my battles, feel free to sign up in the Patreon link down below. In this first matchup, we're going to go against a Swampert. Now, this is actually a team, I don't know who came up with it, or just a common consensus. A lot of people thought of it, but it's Swampert. And with a Walrein and Charizard on the back. Sometimes they're shadows, sometimes they're not. All three could be shadows, so it really depends. But anytime you see a Swampert stay in this long, I typically think that it's probably worth shielding your Jellicent. And as you can see, we're getting some value here. This Swampert is building up to another Earthquake, so I'm going to just double shield, right? It seems unlikely that they're going to bait me at that point after I'm already down a shield, so I invest both shields in, and then here comes a Walrein. Again, I'm expecting a Charizard in the back. I do go for a Night Slash. I probably should just go for Cross Chop, to be honest. Not really sure. It's really not it's just not a good move. I mean, yeah, you could get a boost, it'd be nice. I guess maybe it's because I plan on throwing the Cross Chop here, which should mostly KO, but we forced out the last shield, which is very good, and then here comes the Charizard. So as expected, the Charizard is in the back, and I'm just going to pivot out to my Shadow Nidoqueen. Some people have asked me, is Shadow Nidoqueen considerably better than non-Shadow? And I actually don't think so. I think non-Shadow is better in a couple matchups, like this Charizard one. You can tank the Blast Burn much better. Oh, this one has a Dragon Claw right after, so it's not really that big of a deal. I think they undercharged that. But I'm just coming with Obscure, force them to throw the energy, and now my Jellicent has a lot of play in the back end. This Swampert is pretty much energy dry. I'm just going to throw the Surf right away. I don't know if their switch time was even up, but I figured I just throw as soon as I can, and then I can live an Earthquake from here. So Jellicent alone being on this team already has been a huge benefit into this team composition alone, because you just see it a lot. And yeah, we're going to close out that match right there. Cobalion lead. Again, another lead where it was a little wonky, I guess. Well, no, you just stay in. But now we used to need alignment. I think that's the main thing I learned from my last team, is that alignment was really important. Whereas for this team, alignment is not nearly as important, which is much better because, in my opinion, it gives you a lot more flexibility in finding your win conditions. So, for example, two things that beat Cobalion now. Instead of having a mirror matchup and Nidoqueen, we now have Nidoqueen and a Jellicent. So we're just going to stay in this matchup, and in all likelihood, they have a reliable Nidoqueen count in the back, which is why they swapped out right away. And ends up being a Tapu Fini. So not the most reliable counter, which is really great because they had to come into a loaded Nidoqueen. And that's going to be really good for us, and Jellicent beats both of these two. So Jellicent being a huge core breaker, and they are going to concede the match right there, realizing that it's not going to be too great. Oh my goodness. Alright, Cheggy's out of here. Alright, Alolan Sandslash. This was tough for the last team. It's arguably a little tougher for this one. It just depends. Again, clearly Jellicent is kind of a core breaker here, so they have to stay in and shield. Whereas typically speaking, in the last team composition against Alolan Sandslash, they typically have two counters for any fighters or counter users, because that's the main weakness to Alolan Sandslash. So pretty much ABB in that regard. But we do get this Alolan Sandslash quite low, and so they might have another check to that Nidoqueen. I think I'm just going to stay in here. It kind of makes the most amount of sense. It's also Shadow Claw, and Giratina is actually very, very good into Nidoqueen, so it's going to resist all the moves. So we're just going to come in I'll stay in Obscune here and just no shield probably. I probably just need to save my shields for that Nidoqueen. The good part is Shadow Claw is doing very little damage, almost no damage. I think it does maybe 1 damage, the most smallest amount of increments. And because of that, we can just do quite a bit. And I'm going to come in with an energy lead on my Nidoqueen. I thought that they were going to bait me with the Ice Punch. I decided to let it go, and that turned out not to be the best idea. So they actually have a Golisopod in the back, and they could bait me with X-Scissor, which is not great. I am going to keep throwing these moves here, though, and just whittling down the defenses. You can see the Shadow Claw damage actually really adding up. I think they probably should just Shadow Claw me down all the way, but that's why I decided to shield, because I want as much damage as I can, right? And here I come in with the Obscune. Unfortunately, not enough health there, but we do get the Poison Fang off, take out the Alolan Sandslash, and we Simul KO. So I'll take it. I think I could have played that a little better, though. If I shield the Drill Run, I think I'd be in a much better spot, because that's going to do way more damage than Liquidation. That being said, there are much more win cons, in my opinion, with Jellicent in the back still. So, still pretty happy about my adjustment there. Jellicent, especially with the access to Surf, has honestly become a really strong safe swap in Ultra League, in my opinion, because it's already really bulky, and then now you have a more consistent damage rather than need to bait with Bulb Beam. Even against Obstagoon, right, you're running Hex, that matchup is much closer than you would expect, even against XL Obstagoon, because I've been on the receiving end of that, and it's not fun. Obviously, you can always run Bubble, but I think Hex is just better across the meta, and as you can see, a great example of how good of a safe swap is, able to flip the matchup against Greedent. This is really good, because if they come in Drifblim, I have an energy lead, and I can get the shield back right away, which puts me in a really good spot, and Drifblim being a really hard wall to the Nidoqueen, I am forced to do that, and then we do bring in the Nidoqueen into the Scrafty, and it's gonna be good for me. Obviously go Foul Play, but we have ourselves the Obstacle in the back, and you definitely don't want to take double super effective damage here. So I'm gonna just let this move go. It's no big deal. I'm gonna come in with Obstagoon, and my play here is get hit by all the Icy Winds, and then swap over to my Jellicent to clear the debuff. That way I will maximize my energy usage here, and yeah, a lot of energy. And then now I come in with my Jellicent here, and we're gonna throw a Surf here, and it gets taken out. Unfortunately, I think I lost a turn coming in, so I get hit by back-to-back Icy Wind. However, we have 100 energy. There's really nothing you can do. You can't Hex us down. We CMP here, and just another Niantic should do it, but my opponent is going to concede. Alright, Deoxys Defense. This is an interesting one. The backline's better into it, but you still really can't swap because you don't want the Deoxys Defense eventually aligned with the Obstagoon. So I just typically stay in, and then they come in Wall Ring. Now, really key point to note is that they came in Wall Ring, and they have a they came in Wall Ring, and they have an Obstagoon counter with Deoxys Defense. There's a good chance they're trying to bait out my Obstagoon or the fighter or counter user. And I also don't want to give him too much farm here, so that's why I decided to throw at the very last second. Potentially I can force the shield. But I recognize this at this point in time that maybe I made a mistake. So I'm going to come in with the Jellicent here. And it's not great, but I'm down a shield. So I can't really risk getting hit by Psycho Boost. And here comes Alolan Sandslash. And this is where my life gets a little bit tougher for me. They actually even no shield, which is a little better for me. But I just don't have a feasible way of taking this out, especially when they have a shield advantage. So I'm going to probably, yeah, maximize here. Maybe try to snipe it down with the Earth Power. Yeah. No, unfortunately, we didn't have the move ready yet, and they are going to hit me with an Ice Punch. Luckily, it's just an Ice Punch. But, again, this Deoxys Defense is so bulky. It has more than half its health left. Yeah, there's no way. They could just farm up and then throw another Psycho Boost at my Jellicent to call it a day. So really solid team composition, I would say, from the opponent there. I think I really like how it looks. But also on top of that, really great strategy. So just something to think about, because Jellicent has a positive matchup versus Wall Rain as well. If you think they're then trying to bait out your counter user, maybe better come in Jellicent. Come in Jellicent there is also pretty good, because they can't easily come in Deoxys Defense back into it, because after you win that matchup, it's just not a great matchup for Deoxys Defense still. If you have residual energy, they can't counter you down, all that stuff. Alright, and then at this point, I swapped to catch a move here, which works out pretty well. We do get the defense drop, but Jellicent's just very bulky. and taking resistant counters is still nice. Neutral breaking swipe, no big deal. I personally don't recommend Haxorus for Ultra League. I haven't struggled too much into it of the ones I faced, but yeah, you can see like it's just not enough damage, right? And it's pretty fair on its own. So we're gonna take it out. I just go for a pivot here because I know the Golisopod is low on energy, so my Obstagoon can handle that. And then we grab a shield from the wall ring, which is huge. I'm gonna just no shield there, and we get to the move here against the Golisopod before they get to their X-Scissor or Liquidation. I am going to shield because I think X-Scissor does more, but they actually don't Liquidation, so maybe they're running Aerial Ways. I don't know. The X-Scissor, super effective X-Scissor is probably a little better here. We go for a very unnecessary catch, but I figured, oh, why not? And now we have plenty of energy to deal with a wall ring here. Even if we did make that catch, we've been fine. They can't easily fast move down my Jellicent, but yeah, able to take that one. All right, Steelix. Steelix is an interesting one. They potentially have Earthquakes, so you have to watch out for that. Psychic Fangs is super effective. Over the course of multiple shields, it's not great. Obviously, shields down. The Queen's a little better if they're not running Earthquake. I do bring in the Jellicent though, and this is going to be some decent damage. They actually swapped here. I actually don't remember what they swapped into. They swapped into Giratina, so great catch from my opponent there. But our timers are super misaligned at this point. So I decided, you know what? I can grab a shield back with the Shadow Ball. My Switch timer's about to come up. I actually don't even throw the Shadow Ball. Looking back on it, I actually like this play a lot more, and I'm glad I did it. But here comes the Obstagoon, because taking resistant Shadow Claw is nice. I have more Surfs loaded up for that Steelix, and again, no Queen's not terrible into Steelix. I mean, they still could be running Earthquake. They obviously are running Psychic Fangs. I'm going to build up to a potential, you know, Gunk Shot, Hyper Beam, etc. And we do grab a shield, which is nice. We get the boost too. The boost's not really that important because it's resistant damage anyway. But getting that shield is massive. And so our switch timers are all over the place. We're all swapping back and forth. So their timers misaligned with mine. Mine's misaligned with theirs. At this point, I am going to just shield there and get this Poison Fang off. I potentially do risk getting farmed down here, but we get one more Poison Fang off, which is nice. I have another Night Slash loaded on my Obstagoon. Oh, and CMP. Yeah, so that's actually huge for me. I potentially could just count this down. Yeah, so they come in with their Steelix. They go Psychic Fang, so they're probably running Crunch as their second move. And we have back-to-back Surf ready, so this is going to be really nice for me. And we get off another Surf, so this is going to be pretty good value here. They're going to Dragon Tail me down. No, they don't, actually. They throw the move. I guess maybe they had to, otherwise they would get to it. It would be close. But at this point, I realized I just got to commit to the farm down, have a nice size ready for the Giratina, and we are able to close it out. So, kind of a long match back and forth. A lot of switching all over the place, but definitely a fun one, and one that we're able to barely win out there. All right, Tapu Fini lead. Pretty fantastic overall, because it's going to be a complete wall to the Obstagoon. And again, like, you land one, you just shield. If they shield, you still shield, and the Poison Fang damage, the Poison Jab damage just really adds up after the debuffs. All right, they come in Giratina here. I'm gonna swap in my Jellicent. Jellicent just typically does a little better because you just have the hard hitting Shadow Ball, whereas they have to go Shadow Sneak, even though Shadow Claw is a much better move. They actually come in with Registeel, so still fine with me. I just want to chip this down as much as possible. Put it potentially in counter range. Actually, that's my play. So unfortunately, I can't get another move off here. But energy on this Obstagoon is going to be really nice. All the damage being thrown from the Giratina is not going to be hit as hard as the Registeel damage. And so that's why I decided to just counter down, come in with energy, and have a lot of play into this Giratina. They're not going to shield the first one, which is, I think, a great call, because if I boost, then they're in big trouble. They also have a lot of energy as well, because they didn't throw into my Jellicent, so there's definitely some play for them here. But I'm just going to stay in here, do what I can. The Dragon Claw is not enough to KO my Nidoqueen as well. So, and here's the thing. The Shadow Claw is, again, doing like 1 damage a piece. Not able to overcome my Obstagoon without throwing a bunch of energy. I think there's still 2 Dragon Claws away. So, again, really nice for me. And I throw another Night Slash. Now, if they shield this, I'm in a good spot. And CMP, even better, actually. So CMP really come in my favor in a lot of these sets. I just decided to throw out the Poison Fang right away. I don't really want to get hit by move. The Registeel is mostly energy dry, I believe, because they threw a Focus Blast, I think, right away against my Obstagoon and then swapped out. So we can safely go for the Earth Power and close it out. Yeah, so that's a pretty meta team. Tapu Fini, Giratina, Registeel, pretty standard and pretty strong, but we have a lot of play into it. All right. Speaking of things that we have a lot of play into, this is kind of tough because, yeah, this is going to be a very strong counter to Jellicent. Yeah, it takes 2 charge moves, but still, they can tank the Shadow Ball no problem, and especially if they get a debuff, which they just did, yeah, it's not going to be great. Now, we do force them to shield the second Shadow Ball into the first one, so do get some value out of that because the second one was debuffed. But I'm going to swap over here, and then we get the Giratina. And again, this is kind of a tougher situation because it's not Dragon Claw or Shadow Claw Giratina, it's Dragon Breath, which means that my Obstacle is going to even struggle into this thing. And I have Shields out, so it's not looking great with a Registeel still around. But we're going to do what we can here, and I can't get the Earth Power off, so I'm going to throw 2 points of Peng, just get some damage, get the debuff off, and just probably come in and overfarm as much as I can with the Obstacle. But compared to Shadow Claw, we can see a significant difference in this Dragon Breath damage just chewing through my Obstacle. It's a much better matchup for Giratina. In fact, it's actually a winning matchup if you have shields up, and they do have shields. So that's going to be great for me, but I do have a bunch of energy loaded, and they actually have a Swampert in the back. So, yeah, not a great time. I do try to go for a common play here. Let's see if we land the Shadow Ball. I really want to get shields down. And we do land the Shadow Ball, but still not enough damage. Yeah, not a good time. Can we get to the Shadow Ball here? We do. So that's actually pretty crucial damage. But again, they still have Swampert with a lot of health. We get to the Surf, too, actually. Okay, that's pretty massive. But I think they probably just shield and Focus Blast me, yeah, if I were to guess. I don't have... Yeah, so anyway, I did have to move there, but I can't... I'm not even sure if it lagged or not, but I just can't get it off because if I do, Swampert's going to take me out. So, good games. Tougher matchup there, but sometimes you just get hard counter throughout. Overall, I like the Jellicent variation of this team much more. Of course, the Cobalion version has a lot of perks, Cobalion being one of the strongest safe swaps. But I think Jellicent just pairs a lot better with Nidoqueen. Thank you all for watching. If you like this video, feel free to give it a like and share. Subscribe for future content. Hit that notification bell to get alerted right when I post a new video. And I'll catch you all next time.